What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rethink Everything podcast. And I'm excited for this episode because I'm with a buddy of mine that I have known for a while. And I want to warn you guys, for those of you that might be listening to a podcast in your car with children there, I don't know what we're going to get in today, but Wally has an incredible story, an incredible testimony that may involve some more R-rated subject matter. And so maybe not, you might not want to listen to this if you've got little kids in the car with you, or maybe you do. I'm not trying to tell you how to parent your kids. I just want you to have the warning. But Wally, man, I love
Thanks.
you. I'm
Love
so
you too.
appreciative for you when
Likewise.
you brought this to the Rethink Everything brand. I was so excited to turn this into something spectacular, which I believe that we have. And we have Rethink Everything you know about prospecting. By the time this episode's live, it is live, available for purchase on Amazon. And so, brother, let's jump in. How nobody like at 10 years old is like, I want to become an expert of prospecting when I grow up. How did you come into this expertise?
Well, there's two parts, and thank you very much, by the way, and God bless you. I love you so much. Thank you for this. I'm super excited and I'm grateful for you, and I'm glad that God put us in each other's lives. And even though there may be some R-rated topics, there will not be R-rated language. So we'll keep it clean from that end. So
Hey,
so
you be you, brother.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. How do I become an expert? So I think there's two parts here. There's the tactical and then the strategic, right?
Yep.
There's the tactical side, which is just repetition is the mother of skill, right? Practice, 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 learn, be willing to take feedback. My last count, I think I've either taken or made over 300,000 phone calls.
Wow.
In, some customer service, lots of sales and stuff like that. I've called for myself. I've called for other people. I've called sellers. I've called buyers. I've done help with people with recruiting. So just made hundreds of thousands of phone calls. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, learning the right things to say, right? And some of that's trial and error. Some of that's taking scripts and using what's there and then improving upon it. And, it's interesting. I'm reading a great book right now. It's called The Positive Intent Mindset. And it talks about how to have positive intent about things in life. And, one of the things it says is it's hard to have positive intent with people and systems and things you don't trust because you don't trust them, right? The things that usually give us positive intent is knowing somebody and knowing that they're good at it, right? Well, when you're becoming successful, you have to assume positive intent from the people that are training you that what they're teaching you is the right thing. And so you have to just take it and run with it, right? I mean, I was very fortunate. I got connected with the right guy, great mentor. And, I sold 72 houses my first 14 months in the business. And, basically, I couldn't do it today. I really don't think I could, but he just told me what to do and I did it. He said, we say this here, we say this here, we say this here. And I said, okay, this, and he just did what I was told. Right. Wow. And so I think from a tactical standpoint, it's learning what to say, when to say it, how to say it, trusting that whoever gave it to you, if you're aligned with the right person, gave you the right thing to say, and then practice, practice, practice. Perfect practice makes perfect, and keep working. And eventually you get good at it, right? Yep. The other half of it, though, is I'm going to call it strategic, but I'm also going to call it emotional, right? Because how do we get better at something aside from practice? What else do we need? Feedback.
That's right.
Right? You need to listen to your calls. You need to hear yourself, give yourself feedback. You need to have other people give you feedback. And if you don't take feedback from people, if you can't take feedback from people, you're not going to get any better. And that's where you're just going to sit there, like a boat in the water with no engine, right? Just kind of sitting there, no sail, right? So the other half of it was getting feedback, taking feedback. And admittedly, I wasn't great at it originally. A lot of the stuff we talk about in our book here, I suffered from, all those issues that kept me from, being successful. And when I first, I got fired from my first sales job. A girl I went to school with, dad sold these benefits policies to people who were in like low income family brackets. And, outwardly I was an extrovert. I was talkative. I had fun. He's like, hey, come on in, do this. And he's like, okay. I said, what do we do? He says, well, here's a bunch of names. You got to call these people and set appointments with them. Say what? Right? Like, ding. And we go to lunch every day. And, I made one sale in about a month. And he's like, we got to let you go. Okay. I call reluctance. I didn't even know. Right. But I suffered from all the things that keep people from being successful and being good at prospecting. And that's, the procrastination, the perfectionism, the need for approval, the need for acceptance. And so part of what's helped me get really good at that is learning how to get to the point where I don't need approval. I don't need acceptance. I
Yeah.
understand that mistakes are going to happen, right? Interestingly enough, 59% of all salespeople in every industry have a very strong need to be liked and approved of, which means they avoid rejection like the plague.
Yep. I
And
do.
that's, and I did.
Yeah.
And I did. And it's interesting because usually when we're rejected, it has nothing to do with us,
Right.
right? It's my theory of Brussels sprouts, if I may share.
Please. Yes.
Do you like, do you like Brussels sprouts?
If they're prepared well, yes.
Okay. So what code for cover them in anything you can so I don't taste the Brussels sprout?
No, I like just a
Okay.
solid roasted Brussels sprout, that's got a
Okay. All
little
right.
burn around the edges. I don't necessarily need
Yeah.
a ton of balsamic glaze and
Okay.
stuff.
All right. Well, you're officially dead to me now. Thank you. It's been nice knowing you. Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable ever. The worst. And actually, my understanding is they've been engineered to taste better, but I think it's a lie. I just hate them, right? But look, you love them and I hate them, okay? Now, look, it's the same Brussels sprout, right? We take a Brussels sprout, you look at it and go, yum. I look at it and go, ugh. So is it the Brussels sprout or is it us?
Right.
It's us,
Right.
right? I mean, we're like a Brussels sprout. Some people are going to like us and some people aren't. It has nothing to do with us, right? Just is what it is. So, but what's at the core of being able to be good at prospecting is the tactical side of knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, practice, passing, learning it, assuming positive intent that the person that gave you the information is somebody you trust, who is interested in your success and wants you to do well. The other part of it is the strategic part, which is how you manage your emotions, right? Manage your state, manage your mental and emotional awareness. And that's the other half of it. So I worked on both. The way I got good at it is I worked on both, right? And it took some time, but the good news is once you get good at it, you're good at it forever.
So how, like, I have, I don't want to say I always have, because I know I haven't, but as I've gotten older, I crave feedback now. Like
Yep. Mm-hmm.
when someone I speak for a living, and when someone I trust a lot is in the audience, I love getting
Yep.
feedback from them, not
Mm-hmm.
for them to just kiss my butt,
Mm-hmm.
but for me to go, no, 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 no. I already know I did good. I'm good at this.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
what was like that one thing that stuck out that I could have done better?
Mm-hmm.
I crave that now.
Good.
But I wasn't always like that. And I think most people do not crave feedback at all.
Nope,
So
not at all.
how have you seen people become more willing to receive feedback over time?
Well, I think like everything in life, you have to accept that there's a problem. You've got to realize there's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to know that you have to realize, you have to accept that, you have to acknowledge that there is a problem. There's a challenge, right? And then you've got to say, okay, that's a problem. And that's getting in the way of me achieving what I want, becoming the person that I want, having the relationship that I want, having the business that I want. So you got to get to the point where you're like saying, okay, there's a problem, right? And then you've got to find out what that problem is. And you just have to start working on who you are as a person, who you feel you are as a person. You would not believe, maybe you would. I mean, people would not believe how freeing it is to get to the point where it's okay with what anybody says about you. That
Yeah.
that your self-esteem, your belief in yourself, your self-esteem, your self-worth is at a point where you don't care what other people say. That is the most freeing thing ever. And as soon as you stop caring about what other people think, you'll start caring what other people think in the right way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. As soon as I stop caring what you think about me, now I'm interested in what you think about me and how I can be better. Does that make sense? You see the distinction there? Right.
Yep.
People are, and it's so funny, but people are like, oh my God, I'm worried what they're thinking about you. Well, they're not thinking about you. So, right. But
No doubt.
once you see, and you even said, I know I'm great at what I do. Right. You're like, I'm great at what I do. So I don't, I already know that I'm great at what I do, but I want to get better. And the only way I'm going to get better is to take feedback from people.
Yeah.
Right. And when you
Absolutely.
get to the right, when you get to the point where your self-awareness, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your trust in yourself is strong enough, then you're going to go ahead and take feedback from people and realize that it's not personal, it's constructive. Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between criticism and feedback. I don't even use the word criticism if I can help it. I always call it feedback. Right. Because inherent in the word criticism is criticize, which means to say
Right.
something negative about somebody. Right.
Yep.
And my negative thoughts about you are my personal opinion. They're not true.
Right.
Right. They're just my opinion. It's not true. Right. So, I mean, whatever we believe to be true for us is true, but doesn't mean it's true. Right. So I don't ever try to criticize somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'll give you the feedback, you know. Now, is the feedback always positive? No. But it's not a criticism. It's not looking to hurt. It's not looking to be mean. You know, that's why I don't like the term brutally honest. I don't think I need to hurt you to be honest with you. I think I just need to be completely and totally honest with you and tell
Yeah.
you what you need to hear. And as fair a way as I
It's good.
possibly can. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It 100% does.
Slight distinction.
Well, what I find interesting is, I have my middle child is 11, and
Ooh, middle child. Oof.
and I know you have 4, right? So
Yep.
you've been in the game a lot longer than me,
Mhm.
but my 11-year-old loves to say to me, "Dad, why are you always so critical of me?"
Oh,
And I have to tell her, "So sis, I'm not being critical. I'm giving you feedback." But ultimately, we get to choose as the recipient of the news. Like, if I see it as criticism, I'll do nothing but
mhm,
run away from it. But
mhm,
if I choose to spin it around and see it as feedback, even if you meant it for criticism,
mhm,
I can still use it for my own growth
mhm.
if I choose to receive it as feedback,
100%. Mhm.
right?
Did you ever ask her why she thinks it's criticism? Why do you think I'm criticizing you?
Nope. But I'm asking her that today.
No, hey, listen, why do you think it's me? Like, dad loves you, right?
Yep.
Is dad one of your biggest fans?
Yep.
Why do you think it's criticism from dad? Just help me understand so I can understand why you think it's criticism and why it's not coming from a position of love, because that's how I tell you everything.
It's so good.
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
gonna
Like,
do that
yeah,
today.
yeah, help dad understand why you think it's criticism. You know, is there a way I can position it? And can we come to some sort of agreement that when I give you feedback, I'm coming at you from a position of love so that
Yeah.
you don't make the same mistakes that I did, so you don't make the same bad choices that I do. And so that when I'm 90, you're not going to lock me in a room and give me a rubber spoon to eat Cheerios because you don't love me.
Oh, dude. Who would have thought that great parenting advice would have come out of a prospecting podcast?
You never know, right?
You know?
Help
Okay.
me understand. Like, what do you mean by that? Just
Yeah,
help
that's
me,
so good.
help me understand what you mean by that. And let's try to find some common ground. Oh,
Well,
one more thing. Can I
yeah,
say one more thing?
yeah.
And then, and then do I have permission to check in with you after I give you feedback to make sure that you realize that it's not feedback, that it's not
Yeah,
criticism.
yeah. So good.
And I'm giving you permission to come to me and say that feels like criticism and not feedback.
Yep.
So
Man,
we
I
can
love that.
finally get to the point where it's no longer looked as criticism. You know what I'm saying?
So good. So good. Okay.
And by the way, stand up straight. By the way, sis,
Oh,
stand up straight. You're slouching. No.
oh gosh. Okay, Wally,
Mhm.
we if we brought in a struggling salesperson into this podcast
Yep.
and I said, "Hey, coach them around prospecting," knowing
Mhm.
that if they're struggling with sales, they're probably to some degree struggling with prospecting.
Always.
What would be like, how do you begin that kind of feeling out process with that struggling salesperson?
Okay. Well, the first thing I would ask them is, when you say you're struggling, where are you struggling? Are you struggling with prospecting? Are you struggling with presentations? Are you struggling with people you don't know? Or are you struggling with people you do know? Is it a matter of not knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it? Or are you like deathly afraid of the phone and rejection? And, you know, let's find out is it a syntax thing? Do you know what to do in the right order at the right time? Right? Do you know what to say, when to say it, how to say it? No, I don't. If you knew what to say, when to say it, how to say it, would that solve the problem? Yes. Okay. Well, then let's solve that problem. If you go to pick up the phone and you feel like you want to throw up, or you feel like, right, or you feel like, your body's going into, like, basically what's happening is your flight instinct gets triggered and all that, your mouth gets dry, your digestive tract shuts down, your body's getting ready to run or fight. If that's what's happening, then we've got an emotional issue a mental and emotional issue we've got to attend to. So, right, prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Let's find out if it's knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, or is it something that's happening here and here. For some people, it's both. And that's because of the mental and emotional side, they avoid it like the plague. So they're not even going to take the time to learn what to say, when to say, and how to say it. Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Let's find out, is it a syntax? Is it an emotional issue? Is it both? And then if it's a syntax and emotional issue, both, we're going to go after the emotional side first, because that person's not going to lean into learning what to do, when to do it, how to do it if they don't
Yeah.
feel like there's anything in it for them or that they can even make it happen, right?
How, like, what does the discovery look like if you ultimately believe it's an emotional issue? Like, what's the
Mhm.
path then that you kind of walk them down
We can.
to help
You said
identify?
are you how willing are you to be very vulnerable at the moment?
Yeah, always.
Okay, you want to find out why you're afraid of rejection?
Yeah.
Okay, this is exactly what I do. You ready?
Yep.
How was your mom and dad's relationship? Did they get along with each other?
Yes.
Okay. Did they
Yep.
ever fight?
Been married almost 50 years.
Did they ever fight in front of you?
No.
Not once, right?
Nope.
Did you ever get punished?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get whooped
Yep.
hard?
Uh, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you grew up in Texas, so you still had the paddle in school when you grew up, right?
Oh, we had a big old paddle.
And you guys, and like you folks didn't mess around. They drilled holes in that thing to make it aerodynamic, so that
That's right.
there was nothing
Yeah.
slowing it down, right?
Nope.
And you guys and the boys are like, "Hey, I'll take the paddle. Don't call my parents. Just give me the paddle. I'll suck it up for the rest of the day, right?"
Yep.
Okay, so you get the paddle at school. You got whooped at home. When you did a good job, did your parents say Kyle did a good job, or did they say that they expected that of you?
Um, you know what, Wally? It's interesting. I think my parents were um they were too quick to cheer me on.
Okay.
They wouldn't, what I mean by that is they wouldn't just celebrate what I actually accomplished. They would celebrate my attempt as if it was the completion of the assignment.
Ah, okay.
Does that
So,
make sense?
yep. So they
And so I was
okay,
getting celebrated before I even technically did anything.
right. So, what did you get punished for then?
Um,
I mean, if
just
you
mouthing off was probably
okay,
most of my,
so
you know,
being
being
yourself.
disrespectful to my mom from the back seat,
Okay, okay. Just be doing your job, right? Were you ever bullied in school?
Yes,
For
being the fat kid.
okay, I know that very well.
Yep.
Um, you don't have to tell me you were ever sexually, emotionally, or physically abused.
No.
Okay, and anybody an alcoholic in your family, mom or dad or anything?
Nope.
And okay, ready?
Yep.
When your parents never fight in front of each other, they don't teach you how to deal with conflict or confrontation very well, do they?
Absolutely not.
Right? You never
Yep.
learned how to resolve issues, right? So mom and dad had an issue, they took it outside. Then right as far as you were concerned, you lived with the Beavers, right? June and Ward.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
right? And so number one, number two, when you get cheered on for every success you have, who wants to fail and do a bad job when all I have to do is do something and get a pat on the back, right?
Right.
Right. And what happens when you don't get a pat on the back? When you screw up?
Oh, it was absolutely deflating.
Shit, I'm going to avoid that like the plague. I lied. We are in R-rated language. I apologize. Right? So making mistakes was no bueno,
Yeah.
right? So things were so good when I did well that if I made a mistake or if I didn't show up, all right, I'm avoiding that like the plague.
Yeah.
Whoopings are whoopings, and I get it, but they can impact our self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
And clearly, being overweight as a child, part of that is a self-esteem issue for whatever.
Yeah.
And so, being overweight and getting bullied hurts your self-esteem too, and your self-worth and what you believe about yourself.
Yep.
So, okay, so
You
here's the
nailed it.
thing, right? So now you're not going to go put yourself in a situation where you could get rejected because rejection
Right.
is deflating. As you learned, we're going to avoid confrontation and conflict like the plague because we never learned how to do it, and that's not mom and dad did it. And then When we feel pain, we're going to go eat and we're going to make that pain go away. So we're never going to really learn how to go ahead and face that, right?
Yeah.
Great. So that's how we do it.
And it's spot on.
So what happens?
Next?
So what's next is we say, okay, let's get clear what emotions come up because there's a trigger, right? T. Harv Eker calls it TFAR, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. There's a trigger that happens. Most of the time we never feel it. And then there's a feeling that comes up, but we get really good at avoiding that feeling, right? We go into avoidance mode, right? Procrastination, perfectionism, alcohol, cigarettes, food, sex, pornography, drugs, name something, right?
Yep.
Look at that pile of clothes. Look at all that administrative work I have to do. And then what happens is we take an action. That action is usually avoidance. And then we get a result and that result sucks. So now that's why I don't make calls I avoid, right? So what happens is every emotion that we have has a physiological response that comes along with it, right? Right. We've got a nervous system. That nervous system is tied into who we are. And every emotion we have has some sort of physiological response. But we've gotten so conditioned, or our brain has conditioned us so well since a very young age. And we'll just take a step back here for a second. Like if I talk with you and I say, Kyle, here's how you don't let rejection impact you. And I started working on it with you and I taught you how to do it. I could show you how to not let it bother you. If it was from day one, you never had any rejection, you started today, I could show you, you're an adult, you'd figured out and you'd follow, right? But when you're 4 years old and you got praise nine times out of 10, and then the 10th time you didn't get praise, and nobody said, hey, Kyle, don't worry about it. It's just feedback. Mom and dad still love you. They still appreciate you. You're still a good kid.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Then you could do it. But when you're 4, we can't do that. So what happens is your brain says, I got to protect Kyle. I got to protect Kyle. I got to protect Kyle. So I'm going to jump in. And even though he's not dying, even though this isn't a physical threat, I'm going to step in. So it starts protecting you from things it doesn't need to protect you from.
Wow.
Right. And so now you're in your 40s and your brain spent the last 35 years of your life, maybe 40 years of your life, saying, okay, when scary things come up, we're going to step in and we're going to help Kyle avoid those things so he doesn't get hurt. And here's the thing. You're 46, you said, right?
43.
Like I said, you're 43.
Old enough.
43, no such thing. 43-year-old Kyle's brain still thinks it's 1980, whatever. Right. And so it still thinks it's 1980, whatever. And whatever the fear is back then, it feels like it's the same fear today. So what we have to do is we've got to go and identify. Yes. Thank you. And so here's the thing. You've got to identify what that feeling is, what that trigger is. And the way to do it is to spend some time going back and revisiting those feelings and those experiences. Right. So what I would tell people to do is I say, go get a note card and just write down, what is it that's causing me to feel rejection? What is it that's causing me to have call reluctance? Right. So what is it that's causing me to feel rejection? Right. You keep 2 note cards, one next to your bed, keep one with you. I say next to your bed because at night your brain's figuring stuff out. You'll probably wake up in the middle of the night or at the end of the night, you'll wake up with something, what I dream about. Eventually you're going to have a list of experiences that come up. And then you associate whatever feelings are with those experiences. And the thing is when I go back and think about those experiences, the emotions actually start to come up. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So now I have the emotions that come up. I can start tangling with them. So when I get triggered and that rejection comes, instead of going run, I start working on what we call some mindfulness. And I let the feelings come up and then I just let them pass. And I practice on focusing on the here and now, or some square breathing or some mindful meditation. And basically what I'm doing is by forcing my brain not to respond to that, I'm rewiring my brain through neuroplasticity and making it so my brain no longer responds to that.
Wow.
Right. And it takes some practice, but it works. Right.
I mean, we're going to dig. I don't even know if I told you this before we started, but we try to keep these to 20 minutes.
Uh-oh.
And we're already done. 5 minutes over because
Are we done?
I asked you to go deep. And so we're going to pick this back up because we have another episode that we're recording in a few days with Chris Heller, who wrote the foreword to your book. And so, guys, if you thought prospecting was just this simple thing that you either call or you don't, no. It's way deeper than that. You're way more screwed up than that. How do we know that? Because so are we, right? No one gets a pass on being jacked up, whether you had parents trying to do it the right way, but they screwed you up anyway, or you just had parents that screwed you up on purpose because they were crappy people. We've all got crap we got to work through.
Agreed.
That's the only truth at the end of the day. And so we're going to be coming back with a part 2 of this. Go get Rethink Everything You Know About Prospecting. It's on Amazon. This is our 15th book in the Rethink Everything series. And this could be the book that would change your life. Wally, how do people find you if they want to connect?
They can email me, Wally, at $1 Million Producer OS, $1 Million Producer OS, or my cell phone number is 214-334-1356, 214-334-1356, and everything is at Wally Bressler everywhere, Facebook,
And
Instagram.
there it is. The guy that
anywhere.
loves the phone just gives his cell phone out on a podcast that anyone in the world could have. So,
yes,
brother, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on.
Man. Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one, everybody.
Be good, everybody.
What?